That's case number 360 on the calendar in the matter of Hollis versus Martosi. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
How old are you, Mr. Hollis?
23, Your Honor.
And you, Mr. Martosi?
24, Your Honor.
What do you do to occupy your days, Mr. Hollis?
I'm a full-time student at Christopher Newport University, and I'm also in the United States Army Reserve.
So you're a student?
Yes, ma'am.
And you?
I'm also a student, Your Honor, and also in the Air National Guard.
Is this a roommate of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is he?
26.
And what does he do to occupy his time?
He's a student, and he's also a realtor.
And how many people rented this house?
Myself and 3 others, Your Honor.
4 young men?
Yes, ma'am.
All in their 20s?
Yes, ma'am.
And from what genius did you rent this house?
I'm the owner, Your Honor.
You are the genius who's the owner.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you pay for this house, Mr. Hollis?
$205,000, Your Honor.
How much did you put down?
$20,000.
Where'd you get it from?
From my deployment in Bosnia.
Did you have a good time in the house?
We have, yes.
Did you have nice parties?
We've had several, yes, ma'am.
Now, at one of the parties, it is your claim that the defendant caused some damage, and he was a tenant of yours. He rented a room.
Yes, ma'am.
He's no longer a tenant. You want him to pay for that damage.
Correct.
Second thing you want him to pay for is rent for the month of April, because he moved out mid-month.
Right.
And you want him to pay for that month that he moved out. And Mr. Martosi says he's not paying your rent. He didn't like what was going on in the house. And he didn't cause any damage to your property. Somebody else did. And he also says that somebody vandalized a motorcycle that he left in your garage by putting a hole in the gas tank, and he figures that was you. So he's got a counterclaim. Now, Mr. Martosi.
Yes, ma'am.
You lived in this house until what point in April?
April 20th.
Did you pay April's rent?
No, ma'am.
You're gonna pay April's rent. Do you understand? Your behind was there in the month of April. You pay rent.
Yes, ma'am.
See how easy that was? Rent. And how much was your share of the rent?
It was $400, but after I had moved out and I had come back, I found my motorcycle, which was originally...
I'll get to your counterclaim in a second,
yes,
sir. Right now, you're going to pay him his rent, which you should have paid it first of the month anyway.
Well, I also had tuition assistance coming in that wasn't always on time, and it could come back.
Whose problem is that? It's not your landlord's problem.
But he knew about this, and he
I don't care what he knew. You're supposed to pay him rent at the beginning of the month. Did I ask you a question?
No.
Perfect. $400. That's what you owe him for rent. So far, so good, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let me hear about the damaged property.
I have pictures of it here.
Just tell me about it, sir. I'll do your show and tell in a minute.
He was in a fight in a party that I was not even at. They had some friends over. They had a fight in the garage.
Well, then you weren't there.
I was there, Your Honor.
Perfect. Stand up. What's your name?
My name is Timothy Baggett. Timothy. Yes.
Just take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry.
You never know what you have in your pockets. All right. When was this party, Timothy?
This party was approximately June of 2006. The first month or two he lived in. It was a graduation party.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. The party took place. It was for a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours. He was drunk and
Anybody else drunk?
I'm sure.
Oh, it's not an answer.
Several people were drunk at the
Go
party,
ahead.
I'm sure.
Keep going.
So he wanted to get his keys back, and Mr. Martosi stepped in and said a few things to him. The fight broke out in the garage. I was there witnessing the fight. At one point, the fight tumbled over and bumped into the garage, breaking the window out. And that's the damage that was done in the garage.
Well, who caused the damage?
Well,
look at me. Who
yes.
caused the damage?
I was standing there watching, and they bumped into me, pushing me into the garage window. However,
Just a
so
second.
technically, my back went through the window. Technically.
Technically.
Yes.
Perfect. Go ahead. Let me hear.
He was actually involved in the fight because it was a pretty big guy that was in it, and it took 2 of us to take him down. He was actually involved the whole time, not just standing by.
Okay. What else?
There's a trench in the side of my yard where Mr. Martosi parked his Tahoe. There was a rain that night, and when he left, he spun tires in the yard, leaving a trench. Also, his room still has nails in it and writing on the walls. I don't know why he wrote on the walls, but he did. Also, holes in it and a hole in the door that he punched.
Can you explain to me why absolutely nothing of this is in your complaint? The only thing that's in your complaint is a shattered window, sir.
I thought I had
Here,
it
I'll
all
show
in
you
there.
your complaint. Here. Other than
August 2006.
Other than the August of 2006, you say he also pulled his truck into the front yard and put a huge trench on the ground. That's August of 2006.
Right.
He moved out a year later.
Right.
Why, a year and a half later, do you sue him for making a hole in your lawn?
The tenant left damages to his room.
Shh.
I'd asked him several times while he was living there to do it, and since we were already going to court about it, I just put it all in there together.
How much did it cost you to fix the trench where he made a hole?
I haven't fixed it yet, but I have an estimate.
You have a picture of it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
It's the top picture, Your Honor.
You have estimates to fix this? I'll come over myself, put a little dirt in, and throw some seed over it. Right?
Right.
Get over it. He owes you for rent, $400. What else?
The bills that he neglected to pay for the month of April and also some in March.
What bills did he neglect to pay in March?
In March, there was a power bill and also the wastewater treatment and the Newport News Waterworks runs for 2 months.
Did you pay the utilities in March?
No.
How much do you owe him for the utilities in March?
He says I owe him $122.50, but the receipts that he showed me, some were post-dated even after I left.
Okay, so how much do you owe him?
If anything, like $75 approximately.
Well, is that how much your utilities were for the months that you were living there?
Yes and no, depending on the power bill and everything else that went on in the house.
He owes you for the utilities. What else?
That's it, Your Honor. The utilities, the rent, and the damages.
Damage to his room.
Fine. The damages you don't get, sir. The damages you talk to him about, you talk to the other person about, but you don't blame one person for a fight that broke out in your house. And as a matter of fact, he was involved. Put your hand down.
Yes.
Put your hand down.
Yes.
He was there. He was involved in it. He was the one who broke the window. 2 other people may have pushed him into a window, but there was an altercation, and you weren't there.
Right.
And for the year or more that he lived there was no lawsuit about that window.
Right.
Right.
But also his room, the walls were destroyed in his room.
Yes.
I never destroyed the rooms. The most I did was hang up a couple pictures. And the writings, I don't remember any kind of writings that it could have been.
Well, maybe he wants to show you a picture.
I have
Now that you
pictures.
say you don't remember, you want to look at a picture? Okay. Show him the picture of the writings on the wall.
I believe it was done to level.
There is a line. There's a line where I hung a picture.
Can I see it?
And I don't know where that hole came from in the door.
Where's the writing on the wall, sir? Is this what you're showing me, a line?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a hole in the door as well.
Mr. Hollis, he owes you $500 for the rent and the utilities. Now let's get to anything else that I have to deal with, damages to motorcycle and other personal property.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's a lot of baloney, Mr. Martosi.
Besides that,
That's a lot of baloney, what you just told me.
And later today,
Your former husband was not required to pay child support as long as the statute was not
It
satisfied?
doesn't have a particular grade point average that...
Doesn't have to have a grade point average. He had a grade point average of 0.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Billy Joe Hollis says former tenant Jason Martosi owes for unpaid rent and bills and for damage to his home. Jason is countersuing, claiming Billy Joe intentionally damaged his motorcycle.
You had an accident with your motorcycle,
yes.
and your motorcycle was not working.
I was fixing it up in Mr. Hollis's garage.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
When you moved out, did you take your motorcycle?
Not immediately.
The answer would be, no, Your Honor, I didn't take my motorcycle.
Correct.
What did you take when you moved out?
The rest of my belongings. He knew I needed...
Don't tell me what he knew.
I needed transportation to transport my bike to my new house.
Because it didn't?
It wasn't running
Right. And it wasn't running because?
because it needed a new brake lever, and I wasn't going to ride it without a brake lever.
That's a
Besi-
lot of baloney, Mr. Martosi.
Besides that,
That's a lot of baloney, what you just told me.
well, as far as repairing the bike, the fairings were damaged in the accident.
Okay,
brake
so the
lever-
bearings are down. It wasn't a foot brake. The bearings were broken.
It was the fairings on the side of the bike, the right side.
Yeah.
The hand lever for the
Yeah.
brake and the mirror. Nothing was wrong with the gas tank. The gas
Okay.
tank was still fully intact.
Perfect. And when you went back to pick it up, when? When did you go back to pick it up?
A couple weeks after I had moved out. They had taken the bike and it was sitting in the backyard on its side with a newly formed hole in the gas tank.
And who did that?
Billy.
How do you
Billy
know?
Joe.
How do you know? What
I
proof do
think
you
he's
have?
just mad because apparently...
Just a second. Tell me what proof you have that Mr. Hollis in any way damaged your motorcycle.
Somebody in that house had to have damaged my motorcycle.
That's possible. That's not proof.
And as far as who to blame, since it was his house, he knew it was my bike and it was in his garage.
It's not his responsibility. As a matter of fact, he could have taken it and thrown it out. You hadn't paid rent. You abandoned the property. You left it there.
I was
You
never
left-
banned
Listen-
from the property.
Yes, you did. Sir, you didn't pay rent in April. He could have taken all of the stuff that you left behind and thrown it in the garbage. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Period. That's what he could have done. So, unless you have proof that he intentionally vandalized your motorcycle, you haven't given me proof. All you said is, well, somebody in the house must have done it, right? Because I assume the garage is a locked garage, right?
Correct.
And when you left it in a locked garage.
Correct.
And only the people who live in the house can get into the garage. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Right, Your Honor. And when he moved, he also kept his keys, so I had to change the locks.
So that it had to be somebody in the house.
Correct.
Or a guest of somebody in the house.
And they had lots of guests over.
And they had lots of guests over. I can't help you with that, sir. What else?
I had damage to wooden chairs, approximately $100 a piece, foosball tables.
Yeah.
I had collectible posters.
Did you take all that stuff with you?
It was damaged, and I
Did
took
you
it out of
take
the
it
house.
with you?
Yes.
Do you have pictures of it?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Goodbye. You owe him $500. That is for your rent and utilities for the month of March, rent for the month of April. You got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
As far as living in the house, they basically turned it into a frat house.
Oh, that's ridiculous. His best friend's 19, and he passed out drunk every night on the couch.
When we had parties breaking of my property,
Blatant lie.
they basically just, dusted off their shoulder and didn't think anything of it.
It feels like he's just reaching, trying not to pay.
Basically get a more mature roommate.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeGuire versus Stafford. Step forward.
Steve DeGuire is suing his ex-wife, Kimberly Stafford, for the return of child support. Steve claims that Kimberly has been defrauding him for over a year.
Mr. DeGuire, let's see if we can resolve this today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Miss Stafford is your former wife, and you have one child. Or
Yes.
you have a child together, a boy. I assume that's this young man right here?
Yes.
You've been divorced for how long?
It's been 18, 19, 20 years. It's been a long time, since 89.
And you've been paying child support since the divorce?
Yes.
And it is your claim that you made several payments of child support after your son turned 18?
Yes.
That you shouldn't have because he was not successfully enrolled in college. And your former wife says, well, he's trying. It's pretty much a defense. What does your judgment of divorce provide for with regard to child support, Mr. DeGuire?
The original divorce decree called for $50 a week, and 89, or no, it was 93, I think it was. It was raised to $467 a month.
Okay. And is that what it remained?
Yes.
And until when are you supposed to pay child support, sir, under the
Until
divorce
he is
decree?
emancipated. Under the state statute, he was supposed to keep a certain grade point average, and he...
Okay. Now, emancipation occurs at different points. I assume it's 18 where you are, unless certain criteria are met.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of that state statute?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it because I was surprised by your interpretation of it. It seems rather subjective. Let me take a look at it. Stand up, young man. Tell me your first name.
Ryan,
How old are you, Ryan?
19,
After your parents divorced, did you have regular visits with your dad?
every weekend.
Get along okay?
Every other weekend. Yeah, everything
Get
went
along
fine.
okay?
Yep.
Great. This statute, do you know what it says? Well, it says that despite the fact that you turned 18, if you're attending a school and successfully complete at least 12 credits, then your dad is supposed to continue to pay his child support until you reach 21. That's what it says.
Okay.
So let's go to last year. What school were you going to?
Jefferson Community College.
Was that your first year of college?
Yeah.
Did you successfully complete 12 credits?
No.
In either semester?
No.
How many credits did you successfully complete?
0.
Why?
I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Halfway through my first semester, I changed my major.
Who did you discuss that with?
One of my counselors and
Discuss it with your mother?
my mother, yes.
And when your grades came after the first semester, what kind of discussion did you have with your mother?
That I just needed to try better and to actually figure out what I needed to do. And
So you failed everything.
Right.
And what about the second semester? Now you've changed your major.
And the second semester, same thing.
Miss Stafford,
Yes.
were you aware of the fact that your former husband was not required to pay child support as long as the statute was not satisfied, which seems pretty detailed?
It does, but to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't have a particular grade point average that...
Doesn't have to have a grade point average. He had a grade point average of 0.
Ryan
this
enrolled.
is not a very subjective test.
Right.
It says, so long as the child enrolls for and completes at least 12 hours of credit each semester. Well, he did not complete 12 hours of credit his first semester, and he did not complete 12 hours of credit his second semester.
And the college allows him to re-enroll?
Just a second.
Okay.
Well, that's true, but it says as long as he completes 12 hours of credit each semester and achieves grades sufficient to re-enroll at such institution. Achieves grades.
I understand that.
So, that being the case, you are absolutely 100% correct
Thank you, ma'am.
that Ms. Stafford should return to you, under this statute, all the support that you paid after he turned 18. That's it. There's no issue. Now let's see if we can resolve it. How many children do you have, Mr. DeGuire?
Altogether, counting him, 4.
Is he the oldest?
Yes.
And I assume that from what your son says, you enjoy a good relationship with him.
Yes, it's been very good. Very good.
Great. And I assume you want him to be successful.
Yes, I do.
So why don't we do this? He's 19 years old. I don't think pursuant to this, and you're entitled to your money back, which you're going to get, but pursuant to your moral parental responsibility, not your legal parental responsibility, how about we do this? How about if your son enrolls in school and he successfully completes 12 credits, you give that money directly to him and he gives it to his mother towards the tuition when he shows you his GPA. Would that be satisfactory
That would be
to you,
satisfactory.
sir?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound fair to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound fair to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're starting school in September again?
Yes.
And your father wants you to succeed?
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother wants you to succeed?
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
live at home?
Yes.
When you show your dad your GPA in December, if you successfully complete 12 credits, and he's prepared to accept C's, right?
As long as he's passing.
Then he's going to be putting the money away, $467 a month. He's going to give that money to you, and your mother's going to expect you to turn that money over to her to defray the expenses of you living there, because that's what the statute seems to say. It doesn't provide for a hiatus. But I think from a moral perspective, if you've had a wonderful relationship with him up until this point, you want him to succeed. And if he needed an extra year to do it, I'm sure you want him to have a little bit of wiggle room. He did not do the right thing. And if he was blowing off school and certainly getting 24 credits of F's, suggests he could have been working in a gas station. He could have been working in Burger King. I mean, what did he have to be walking around school for? He wasn't even going. So he doesn't get any stars for that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,868. With your agreement, sir, that when you see that GPA that is at least a 2.0, he gets the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Fair?
That's fair.
Very good. We'll draw up an order. Thank you.
Parties are disputed. You may step out. Right group. Your Honor, this is case number 391 on the calendar in the matter of Flores Harrison versus Harrison. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Who is Miss Flores?
That's me, Your Honor.
Miss Flores, this is your daughter
Yes, ma'am.
and her husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your sister.
Correct.
You all claim that Miss Harrison made false charges to the Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services came into your home and removed your infant daughter for a period of 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that because of these false charges, you were forced to hire a lawyer because you tried to get custody of the child from the state.
Yes, ma'am.
It's an interesting legal theory, one that I've never heard before. Ms. Harrison says her niece, the baby, was in fact born drug addicted with drugs in her system. And Child Protective Services became involved in your case well before any recent phone call, which she says she did not make, but she knows who did. So I guess my first question is to you. Was your daughter born with drugs in her system?
No, ma'am.
Did she test positive for drugs in her system?
No, ma'am.
Was Child Protective Services at the hospital at all when your daughter was born?
Yes, ma'am.
And were they at the hospital to see you?
Yes, ma'am.
And did they have a file on you?
Yes, ma'am.
So that your first foray to Child Protective Services had nothing to do with either the defendant or anybody else who might have called?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When you brought your daughter home, you were allowed to take her home from the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did she weigh when she was born?
6'8".
And how long was she in the hospital before you took her home?
We were there 2 days.
And after 2 days, you did take her home directly?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I stayed at my mom's for a little bit because I was nervous on what to do with the newborn baby.
Just a minute. Was the baby released to you or your mother? Was the baby released to
My
you or
mother.
your mother?
My mother.
I worked, lived, ate, and slept in the family court for 25 years. You think that I'm asking these questions because I don't know?
No, ma'am.
So your daughter was not released to you, but was released to your mother from the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
And why do you think that was? I had children.
Because
I was a young mother and certainly inexperienced, but they didn't say you have to take the baby home to your mother's house. They said goodbye, good luck, keep your fingers crossed, you know, hopefully these kids will survive. So why do you think the baby was released to your mother?
Because they claim that she tested positive for cocaine and marijuana, which she did not, Your Honor.
You mean the claim was that she tested, but you said that the tests were wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. You have the papers that show me the tests were wrong?
We have my drug test. We finally got the copy of it.
Let me see it. And let me see the drug test that caused the child to be sent home with you.
That would be it.
Well, it says presumptive positive.
For opiates which were given to her in the hospital during the birth.
It says presumptive positive.
Your Honor, I had Demerol and epidural. That drug test was taken after I had my daughter.
Now, you tell me when the second alleged contact with Child Protective Services was from your sister-in-law. You believe it's from your sister-in-law. You have no proof that it's from your sister-in-law.
There was an argument between these two one day on March 31st. All of us were together. We were at a friend of mine's house. David was to meet us there. He was at work, and he showed up, and he was on the phone with his sister, and they were having a huge argument.
What were you having an argument about, David?
She had called and said that she was pregnant with twins.
Put your hand down. Your sister said she was pregnant with twins.
That's
Go ahead,
correct.
and?
So after we talked about that and what was going to happen, I called my Aunt Melissa to let her know because, you know, my Aunt Melissa knows everything in the family, what's going
So
on.
your
She's
sister,
basically
your sister is confiding in you, and you called your Aunt Melissa.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So after we hung up with my sister, my Aunt Melissa called Diane and talked about it.
Our aunt.
Our aunt.
Who didn't know about your plan.
And the reason why I told him that was because I told him prior to that, 6 months before that I don't want to talk to him anymore. And he called me bragging about, oh, well, I'm going to get a car and blah, 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 blah. And I was at my place of employment. And I told him, I said, I don't trust you. I don't want to talk to you. I told you, don't call me anymore. And then I said, you want to know why I don't trust you? And he said, why? And I said, because I'm pregnant with twins. And just to see what he would do, he went and he told all of my family members everything, and then we got into a fight. He
Are you
called me
pregnant
back.
with twins?
No.
That was a good one.
I see. See?
That was a good one. So that made you look pretty.
Sorry.
That made you look pretty foolish.
I sure did.
Well, serves you right.
And that's why we fought.
Serves you right. You were a gossip. So she got you good. Anyway, go ahead. So then they got into a
She
big fight.
continued
Go ahead.
to call for at least 8 hours that day. She was yelling and screaming. Everybody in
Fine.
the room could
She
hear
was
it.
yelling and screaming.
That
Good.
she was going to call CPS and have the baby taken away. She said this, I don't know how many times the phone calls went on until 9:15 that night.
Okay. When did the Child Protective Services come to your house?
The next morning. They told us the phone call was placed at 9:30 p.m. that night.
Okay. And?
They said that there was a report that they had been out partying, doing cocaine and heroin, and had left the baby alone for over a period of 3 hours, that there were dog feces on the floor, that the house had cockroaches, and was a total mess. I have proof that none of that is true.
Whose house did they come to?
To their apartment.
Well, I assume they looked around your apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
And if they looked around your apartment, they saw that it was in good order.
Yes, ma'am.
So then they wouldn't have taken the baby.
Yes, ma'am.
They had to investigate.
Well, they can investigate, but they don't necessarily take the child unless there's a prior history.
We had to immediately go to emergency hearing and take drug tests, which proved that we weren't doped up the night before.
So then my question is, why was the child out of your custody for 3 months?
Because they said that I tested positive for marijuana, which I didn't when they gave me a drug test at the hospital.
They said that you tested positive for marijuana when?
At the birth of
At
the
the
child.
birth of the child.
Did you do a hair follicle test? Or
Yes,
did
Yes,
you?
ma'am. We have all those results.
Can I see them, please? What's all about recovery?
That was where I had to take my drug test after the child was removed. The part where it mentions that my hair test and everything came out, because we can't actually have records of those because the court ordered it, is in these court transcripts that we brought along
Can
as
I
well.
see it, please? What?
I just wanted to say they know how to pass drug tests because my brother was on probation for 6 months and he used a cleaner and he was able to pass his whole 6 months through probation. So he knows how to clean out his system.
Well, you may clean out your system, but you
You
can't
don't
clean out
clean
your
out a
hair.
hair follicle test.
Good try.
And can I say one more thing?
I don't see where this says that a hair follicle test came up negative.
That's them saying that all my
That's the
tests were
court transcript.
negative.
It says that they came up negative.
Right.
Listen to me. We don't believe the child was in any kind of jeopardy when she showed up. We don't believe the mother was under the influence, and we did a drug test to prove that. That doesn't say it was a hair
They
follicle
do
test.
both at the same time.
Listen to me. That's not what this says.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'm telling you, what she did was disgusting.
And later today,
I was actually under heavy drug use at
So whose fault is that? Mine?
No,
Whose fault is that?
it's mine.
Good.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Flores, her daughter Christina Harrison, and husband David claim David's sister, Diane Harrison, told CPS that Christina and David's baby was born drug addicted.
Now, did you call Child Protective Services?
No.
Who did?
One of my friends.
Why?
One of actually me and Christina's mutual friends.
Did the person call from your home?
No, from my cell phone.
From your cell phone?
Because David was talking to a bunch of people when we got into an argument saying, I'm gonna, certain things about fighting.
Stop clicking your nails.
Sorry. He was saying certain things to certain people that were very upset, and he was making threats to me and to my friends, and that's why that happened.
He was making threats to you and your friends about what?
Because we had gotten into an argument.
Well, what kind of threats was he making?
That he was gonna kick my butt and he was gonna do something to me and stuff like that.
You're absolutely right. She called because she was vindictive.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right. You did the wrong thing, you were a gossip, whatever. But her phone call to CPS, and what she did was she either did it herself or she furnished the phone for this friend to do it for her.
It's like buying a hit assassin.
For her, was done vindictively. Because if it wasn't done vindictively, the timing was miraculously convenient for a time when the two of you had a fight. And that's pretty awful to have done. Awful.
But I didn't do it.
Listen,
I know that's your opinion.
You may explain to me that your girlfriend did it from your phone in your presence because you gave her the phone. What I'm saying to you is you were responsible for the call being placed to Child Protective Services, and you were responsible for doing it over nothing that had to do with the welfare of the child, only what had to do with the fact that you were angry with your brother. And that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And you caused everybody a great deal of grief, and you're a big baby. Who are you?
I'm her mom. Mother.
You're her mother? I'm telling you, what she did was disgusting. Now, if she had been concerned about the baby, and if she had made this phone call a month before, 2 months before, when there was nothing that was transpiring between her and her brother, I would say, listen, you have the right to do that if you have a concern. Put your hand down. But she called because she had a fight with them and because her brother threatened to kick her, and because she said, and put your hand down, and because she said, oh yeah, I'm going to get even with you. What?
Well, I would just like to say that...
Stand up if you'd like to say something.
Even if their mutual friend made the phone call, the mutual friend was also angry with Christina. And evidently they had been drinking, whatever, talking, blah, blah, blah. And the girl who was angry with Christina...
Who was drinking?
This, my daughter...
I want you to be quiet. Who was drinking?
When my son and my daughter got into an argument, they had gotten onto this argument over the cell phone. Like, they've argued since, like...
I asked you a question.
Well,
who had been drinking?
Evidently, it was my daughter and a group of her friends.
That's right.
And the friend who has evidently some type of anger towards Christina used my daughter's cell phone to call.
That's baloney. Were you there?
No, I wasn't there,
Sit
but
down.
that's what I was told.
Sit down. By who? By her?
Yeah.
Sit down. Your daughter inspired this call because she had a fight with her brother. And the fact that they were drinking was even worse. You see, your daughter was going to say he was drinking, but that's not what you said. You said, put your hand down. You said my daughter was drinking with a group of her friends. Put your hand down. That's what you just said. You're absolutely right.
But
She's a
he was on bars.
vicious, vindictive, and what she did was cause a great deal of distress to you and your family for no reason whatsoever. And the only reason she did it is because she was angry and maybe a little loaded. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After Diane called CPS and the baby got taken away, his mom calls and says, You need a DNA test. That's not your baby.
Christina, she's selfish, and she just wants to take my brother away from me.
It was a spiteful phone call.
You can't just, because of spite, put a burden on somebody like that.
Instead of calling, oh my God, your baby got taken away, I'm so sorry, it's get DNA test.
She wouldn't let him hang out and see us and party.
When you have kids, you have to grow up.
I want to move up in life, not stay around partying.
Time heals all wounds, maybe we'll be able to rekindle something.
It's over, I'm past, I've moved on, let it go.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Robertson versus Young. Step forward.
23-year-old Stephanie Robertson is suing ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Derek Young, for a $500 loan. Derek claims that Stephanie is a cocaine dealer.
Miss Robertson, for some reason that, quite frankly, after seeing the two of you, I don't understand, this used to be your boyfriend.
Right.
And according to your complaint, you loaned him $500 to fix his car. He was supposed to pay you back, and he didn't. Then he took off for a while. And Mr. Young acknowledges that there was some $500 amount of money, but he says it was drug money.
That's not true.
He said you were selling drugs, and you were giving the drugs to him to sell because he was a drug addict. You were not addicted to drugs. That's your story. She was not a user. She was a seller. She was giving you the drugs to sell because you had that circle of friends because you were an addict.
Right.
And you were using the drugs yourself.
Correct.
And she should have known that you were using the drugs yourself because you're an addict.
Was an addict.
And you don't owe her any money.
I don't believe I owe her anything.
The money I lent to him was a birthday present from my dad.
That's your father?
Yeah.
You gave her money for her birthday?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
What?
That was actually not birthday money. It was her college fund money.
Oh, so you know about the $500?
Well, no, she bought the drugs with the college fund money, and then she was trying to get me to sell the drugs for her.
Okay, so her dad gave her $500 from her college fund, and she bought drugs with that money.
The money was from the state.
The money was from?
The state.
State from where?
Of Michigan.
For what?
Michigan assessment test. They give you $500 for college if you pass it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
or if
great.
you get high scores.
Did you get that money from the state of Michigan? It's easy enough to find out.
The money was from my dad.
Did you get $500 from the state of Michigan for taking a
I
test?
got a scholarship from the state of Michigan.
For how much?
It was like $1,500.
Did you get it in cash?
No, it was a scholarship.
Okay, fine. So tell me about this $500.
He wanted to borrow $500 from me to fix his car. His transmission went out or something.
Well, tell me how it happened. Tell me what he said to you, what you said to him.
He told me his transmission was out or something. He needed to fix his car. At the time, we were still getting along. We wanted to go on like a road trip. Do you want to be someplace else other than here? No.
Well, then do you think that you could tell me this story in a cogent manner so that I can understand it and we can move on to some more pressing business? My father gave me birthday money on what date?
I don't remember the exact date. It was probably...
Well, when's your birthday? Do you know that?
May 20th.
And when did you give the money to him?
I think it was in July. He signed a promissory note, July 20th, 2006.
You have a note?
Yeah.
Let me see it. Yes, it would be the answer, Miss Robertson.
Yes, sorry.
Did you use that scholarship money to go to college?
Yes, yeah.
Are you still there?
Yes.
Stay in school. Now, Mr. Young, I have a note here, signed by you, that says, I, Derek Young, declare, D-E-C-L-A-I-R, that I owe Stephanie $500 with a dollar sign in the wrong place.
At that time...
Huh? What?
I was actually under heavy drug use at that
So whose
point.
fault is that? Mine?
No.
Whose fault is that?
It's mine.
Good.
And I'm clean.
Pay you the money.
But there was never any money to begin with. It was all cocaine.
It's possible. How do I know that? It says that you owe her the money.
No. I was under heavy drug use. I don't...
Come on. Come on. Stop it. I'm going to say it one more time. Then you're all leaving. Do you understand?
believe that I was in the right state of mind. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Happens to me a lot, sir, that I sometimes feel as if I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I mean...
Like right now, like this moment, I say to myself, you spent 2 decades preparing yourself educationally to be a judge. Another 30, perhaps, life skills and everything else. And here I am adjudicating this nonsense. with somebody who's telling me I don't know what I was doing when I signed that note because I was probably on drugs?
No, I was definitely on drugs.
How do you know?
Because
On what date did you sign the note?
I don't know.
See, so how do you know that you were on
Because
drugs on the day
I
you
was
signed
a
the
heroin
note?
addict.
What?
I was a heroin addict and a coke user.
So maybe at that time when you were a heroin addict and a coke user, you said to her, I need $500 to fix my car. If you don't know what you were
I don't even
doing.
have a car.
You didn't have a car.
No.
You never had a car?
I sold my car before any of this happened.
Well, on what date did you sell your car?
Oh, I don't know.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Do me a favor. Get them out of here as quickly as possible.
Okay, parties are excused. You may step out. All rise. Now, it's case number 242 on the calendar in the matter of Blanco versus Trujillo.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Ms. Blanco, Mr. Trujillo was your boyfriend.
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that he co-signed for a car for you.
Yes.
The car was titled in his name?
And mine.
But he was on the loan?
Yes.
You couldn't get credit?
Both of us were on the loan.
But you couldn't get credit yourself?
Yes.
You broke up. And the agreement, when he agreed to co-sign for you, from what I understand, was as follows. He would co-sign for you, and you would make regular payments on the car, timely, that you would maintain insurance on the car, that you would pay for his cell phone, maintain his cell phone. Anything else, sir?
Medical insurance.
And keep him on your medical insurance, pay for his medical insurance.
Yes.
That was in exchange for him obligating himself on the car loan. You broke up. According to Mr. Trujillo, you were late in many of your car payments, which damaged his credit.
Yes.
In addition, although he doesn't say it, you do, you canceled his cell phone and canceled his medical insurance.
In January of 2007, yes. This year.
Whatever. You canceled his medical insurance. There was no time limit on this contract.
It wasn't really an agreement that I was going to pay his cell phone insurance. It was more of a blackmail, and I have emails to prove that.
What do you mean? Just a second. I'll see you in a second. But it's my understanding, even from you, in your complaint, that we came to an agreement, this is what you swore to, that he would co-sign my car for me, and I would pay for his cell phone plan along with adding him to my medical insurance. That's what you say.
Yes.
So you canceled his cell phone and you canceled his medical insurance. You fell behind in your car payments, and he repossessed the car and turned it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you did with it, or are you driving it?
I currently have the car.
You currently have the car, and you've made up the car payments.
Right, I write it up to date.
You want all the money that you put into the car.
Not necessarily all the money, the down payment that I put into and the payments, some of the payments that I did, and for insurance and the cell phone bill that I did remove them from it, but it wasn't really an agreement. And I have emails that show that it was more of, if I take them off, that the car deal would be done and deal with.
Well, that's true. You know, you don't understand, Miss Blanco. If you made that agreement with him when he co-signed for the car for you, which is what you say in your complaint, and you subsequently break up. So you get the dates. When did you break up?
In September of 2006.
And when was the car purchased?
July 22nd of 2006.
And when did you take him off the cell phone?
The cell phone, I took him off in this February of 2007.
And when did you cut him off of your health insurance?
They didn't cancel that until August 31st of this year, after he took the vehicle and everything.
When did you cancel him from the health insurance? Not when they took him off. When did you cancel him?
When I told him June of this year.
June?
Of 2007.
And he repossessed the car?
June 10th.
Which he lied about repoing the car. He did not tell me anything.
He doesn't have to tell you anything. How many times were you late on car payments?
4 times. But I have proof from VW that I called them, everything, we stayed in touch.
I don't care whether you stayed in touch. What does that mean, Ms. Blanco, that you stayed in touch?
Because they cut my hours from work. It was very unexpected. On March 10th, we had a meeting and they told us, hey, we're cutting hours by Monday. I went from working 40 plus hours to 32 hours. There was no way I could come up with the money. I was trying my hardest to get a second job, and Renee knew about this. He knew that I was trying to get a second job. I kept in touch with him every single time. I said, hey, I only paid $110 this time.
Ms.
We're going to do it.
Blanco, you have to be a grown-up, sweetheart.
I was
Listen
now.
to me. You can't visit your problems on him. The fact that you were working with Volkswagen and they don't want your old car back, they want to work with you as long as they're going to get their money, right? That's one thing. That doesn't mean it's not reported to his credit as the co-signer.
that.
The fact that you lost hours impacted on him.
He
You
knew
understand that.
I understand
That's his
that.
complaint, because he has a counterclaim. He says you ruined his credit because for 4 times, and I don't care if it was 4 times or 3 times or 2 times, if you don't make your car payment on time, the people who were responsible on that loan are going to be penalized. That was him. He has an absolute right to repossess the car for that alone. In addition to the fact that you had a contract with him, a verbal contract, he would obligate himself on the car if you would maintain him on his cell phone and your insurance. Well, after a while, you're not his girlfriend anymore. You say, I'm going to cancel that cell phone. I don't want to pay for a cell phone, but he's calling other people, and I don't want to pay for his health insurance anymore. I'm canceling it.
It wasn't out of a malicious act to remove him.
It doesn't have to be malicious. That was your contract with him.
But it wasn't a contract.
Yes, it was. That's what you said. You said it was an agreement. We came to an agreement that he would co-sign my car for me and I would pay for his cell phone along with adding him to my health insurance. You want me to see what you signed?
I know. I circled that agreement part. It wasn't...
That's what you signed.
I know.
That's what you swore to.
It wasn't an
That's what you said happened. That's what he says happened. You may not want to revisit that now.
Your Honor, there's an email here that shows the only reason I kept that going was because
she doesn't understand that the email is going to support exactly what I said. Yeah, he says to you, you keep me on your insurance and your cell phone plan, and we'll keep the same car deal. That's what he says.
But it wasn't the car deal. The reason why it says car deal is because when we first signed up for the car, we signed up on July 22nd. A couple days after that, the guy that we did the car loan with called us in and said, hey, we have a better interest rate for you. If you come in, we could redo the contract. So I got sick a couple days after that, so we couldn't go right away. I had surgery, everything was fine. We went back and redid the contract, but before we redid the contract, we got into an argument, and I said, you know what, we have to take this out of my name, or out of your name, put it into my own name, now that, this is not how it's supposed to be. And in that email it says,
Ms. Blanco, was the car in both your names?
Yes.
Was the loan in both your names?
Yes.
Do you have proof, sir, that your credit score went from one thing to another?
I do.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. This is the before and the after with the credit scores highlighted.
I have the proof of, or not proof, but when we first co-signed the car, they did a credit check on us, and I have the credit score that they gave us on his and
Not
mine.
us, him.
And mine. Both of ours.
Just his.
Oh, you want
What was his?
His was 776.
Now it's 630. You know, when you walk out of the showroom, the car is diminished by 20%?
Yes.
So he had to take over a car that was now worth 20% less because you ruined his credit, in addition to cutting off his cell phone and insurance. Forget that. So you don't get anything for that, Ms. Blanco? Nothing. You should have kept up your end of the deal.
It wasn't an agreement. I know that says in its agreement, but when we were signing it upstairs, I circled it and said it wasn't really an agreement.
Whether it was or it was not, you cannot ruin the co-signatory's credit rating because you had a problem with your job. That's not his problem.
He knew that, and we were trying. We both wanted to make payments on it, but they didn't take credit card. And I tried my hardest to get a second job.
Crying. Did you buy a new car?
No, I have not.
Why not?
I'm saving up for it.
Good. That's what you should have done.
Payments.
That's what you should have done.
And that's what we wanted to do, and I wanted to do, and I have proof that I tried my hardest to get my car to pass MOG so that I didn't have to get a new car. Chucky was also there as when I was searching for a new car. I did not want payments whatsoever, and he convinced me to get a new car and get payments.
You are a very strong young lady, and you don't seem to me like somebody who's shy. You got into difficulty. He had a right to take back the car.
Not the way he did, though.
Listen.
I was at work, Your Honor.
I'm not saying he was Prince Charming. He had a right to take back the car.
But I was at work, Your Honor, when he came, and I had lunch with my boss, and he just took the car. He did not warn me. After lying about having the spare key.
I'm not the moral police, Ms. Blanco. I'm here to decide a legal issue. The legal issue is, did he have the right to take the car? Absolutely. Did he have the right to sell the car? Absolutely. Does he have the right to keep the car and make the payments? Absolutely. That is his prerogative because you ruined his credit. You have no right to do that. You have to be a big grown-up girl and not say, because I lost my job, I had surgery, I had other things that happened to me, and I had this and I had that. It's not my fault. He took the car the way I was having lunch with my boss. He didn't give me notice. You breached the contract to make the payments in a timely manner. May not have been of your own volition. It may have been because I don't know, the sky was falling and Henny Penny and whatever other reason it was, but that can't impact on him. He's not your boyfriend anymore. He's not your boyfriend, he's not your father, he's not your brother, he has no moral obligation to you whatsoever. Now, you're driving the car, sir?
No, it's currently garaged at my mother's house.
Why?
Because I have nowhere to put it at. I go to San Francisco State, and I have no
Well,
garage.
who's going to drive the car?
My mom's driving it right now.
Oh, your mom's driving it. Good. So you have a nice car, right?
Right.
Good. So what are you complaining about?
By the time I sell the car to my supervisor here, I will have lost $5,000.
Well, you should have sold it to her sooner.
She's going to apply for a loan.
You should have sold it to her sooner. That's not her problem. That's your problem.
Okay.
You took back the car. Car is in good running order.
Yes.
And now you're paying for it, and you're going to sell it to somebody else.
To her.
And right now your mother's driving it.
Right.
Very nice. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Okay.
So is your claim. You're not entitled to any money back. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, as the Judge Judy said, she needs to grow up,
He's got a lot of issues to take care of, a lot of them,
be an adult about things, and pay her bills on time.
before he gets into a relationship like this again.
Lesson learned. Don't sign for anybody.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kruger versus Perks, step forward.
Carolyn Kruger is suing her brother, Kevin Perks, for his share of their mother's funeral. Carolyn says Kevin is the only sibling who refuses to pay.
Miss Kruger, Mr. Perks is your brother.
Yes, he is.
And your claim is that he is responsible for a portion of your mother's funeral expenses.
That's correct.
Mr. Perks says he is not responsible for any portion of your mother's funeral expenses. When did your mother pass away?
April 22nd, 2007.
And it is my understanding that her primary asset was a life insurance policy. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Did she have any other assets other than this life insurance policy?
She had a few $100s in a bank account that I used to pay for the nursing home.
Other than the life insurance policy, did she have a home? Did she have a car?
No.
Did she have bonds? Anything else?
No.
Life insurance policy?
Yes.
And how much was the life insurance policy?
I don't know the total amount. We each got a portion of it. It was $2,082.74 a piece, times 8. So a little over $17,000.
And she had been paying on this life insurance policy. I assume it was from work? Or...
Correct. It came out of her pension.
So it was a pension?
Right.
And it is also my understanding from your complaint that there was no named beneficiary on the policy.
That's correct.
So far, are we correct on that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So, only asset is a $17,000 life insurance policy, correct?
Yes.
You have 7 siblings.
That's correct.
Correct. Your mother did not have a will.
No, she did not.
So you decided, I assume, that you had been taking care of her business?
Correct.
You didn't object to that?
I didn't object. I didn't know I was objecting to because she never consulted me on anything.
When you went to visit her, did you take charge of her medical care, of overseeing her stay in the nursing home? Did you take care of her other business, or did you just go and visit her?
I just went and visited her.
So you knew somebody had to be taking care of that?
That's correct.
And who did you think was taking care of that business?
Carolyn.
There we go. And you didn't object to that?
No, I did not.
Perfect. Now, you did receive a portion of this life insurance, did you not?
That's correct.
How much did you receive?
$2,076 and some change. I don't know the exact amount.
When your mother passed away in April of 2007, did she pass away in the same town where you live?
Yes.
Did you go to the funeral?
Yes.
Did you put on a suit?
Yes.
You married?
Fiance.
Did your fiance go with you?
Yes, she did.
Do you have children?
Yes, we do.
Did you bring your children to the funeral?
Yes.
So they went to their grandmother's funeral?
Yes.
Were there flowers at the funeral?
Yes.
Was there a grave site that you went to?
Yes.
Did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this? Mr. Perks,
No.
did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this?
Yes.
Did you think the burial fairy was paying for it?
No.
No. So you knew that somebody had to be paying for it.
That's correct.
Okay. And who did you think? Put your hand down. Who'd you think that was?
The life insurance policy.
Right. Look how smart you are. You thought that her life insurance policy was paying for it, right?
That's correct.
Put your hand down. It did. All your brothers and sisters kicked in from the life insurance policy to pay for the funeral, except you. That's what the case is all about. Now, your sister could very easily have said, I am going to take all the proceeds of this life insurance policy, and I'm going to pay the $6,000 for Mom's funeral, and whatever is left over, I'm going to give it to my brothers and sisters. Right?
That's correct.
Well, that's what you thought happened. Instead, your sister decided to do what she considered the right thing, which was name each of you as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. You all got your money, and everybody divided the $6,000 or whatever it was for the funeral and sent her a check for their portion. Go!
Well, Your Honor, the life insurance policy, normally most life insurance policy, they have a provision, or the funeral home has an agreement where you can have a form filled out to have the life insurance policy paid for it, the funeral expense itself. She never told me about this expense whatsoever. A week after I got the check, I never heard anything from her, never agreed to it, never paid anything. She didn't consult me about it, nothing.
So? And your point would be?
That should have been consulted further on...
I'm consulting you right now. I'm consulting you. Who's supposed to pay for your mother's funeral? Not you. You have no legal obligation to pay for your mother's funeral. None. But you have no right to accept full proceeds of a life insurance policy, which by law is supposed to pay for her funeral expenses before it's dispersed to any beneficiary. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. So it was done a little bit backwards. Instead of taking the money out and then put your hand down. Does it sound like you're losing?
No, I'm sorry.
So instead of taking the $6,000 out and paying for the policy and then distributing it to you, she distributed it to the siblings and then says, okay, brothers and sisters, now send me a check. It's the same thing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You don't have to be consulted about that, sir. This one wants to say something.
During the funeral and everything that was at the funeral, as far as the casket, the flowers, anything, Kevin was not allowed or invited to pick any of that stuff out.
Was he invited to pick out who the nurses were going to be at his mother?
Your Honor.
Pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Was he consulted, and did he make himself responsible for his mother's care in the nursing home where she was?
He had no choice.
Of course he had a choice. Did he have a choice to pick you?
Yes.
Then he had a choice to pick where his mother went and who took care of her and participating in her care. He chose not to do that. Just as he chose, madam, listen to me very carefully, he chose to let somebody else take the responsibility.
A man uses his former friend of $800, claiming the defendant damaged his laptop for borrowing it. The defendant denies responsibility, arguing and laptop was already faulty. However, Judge Judy catches him in a lie after reviewing text message where he admits the laptop fell off his bed. She rules his favor on the plaintiff, ordering the defendant to pay for the damage. You sent a text admitting the laptop fell off your bed, so you did damage it. I mean, technically yes, but and there you have it, another case solved in Judge Judy's courtroom where the truth always wins. A man, she rules in favor of the plaintiff, ordering the defendant to pay the damage of case closed. Case closed.